If you're in a season where everything has slowed down, where the momentum has faded, where the energy that used to propel you forward has simply disappeared, I need you to hear this. Not every season is meant to be loud. I know the world tells you otherwise. I know you're surrounded by people who are hustling, achieving, posting, celebrating, moving forward at a pace that makes your current stillness feel like failure. But it's not. Your quietness is not evidence that something is wrong with you. Your slowness is not proof that you're falling behind. Your need for rest, for withdrawal, for a pause in the constant forward motion is not a weakness. It's a rhythm, a natural rhythm that the world has forgotten, but your soul still remembers. Not every season is meant to be loud. Some seasons are meant to be quiet. Some seasons are meant for rest, for reflection, for the kind of deep internal work that can only happen when you stop performing for an audience. And if you're in one of those seasons right now, if you're feeling the pressure to speed up when everything in you wants to slow down, stay with me, because what I am about to tell you might give you permission to honor the season you re-actualize. Instead of pretending to be in the season everyone else expects, let me start by asking you something. When did we decide that growth only counts if it's visible? When did we agree that progress only matters if it can be measured, documented, shared? When did we start believing that if we're not constantly moving forward, constantly achieving, constantly proving our worth through productivity, then we're somehow wasting our lives? Because that belief is killing us. It's killing our creativity. It's killing our authenticity. It's killing our capacity to be present, because we're always thinking about the next thing, the next goal, the next achievement that will finally prove we're enough. And it's keeping us from honoring the natural cycles that govern all of life, the cycles of expansion and contraction, of activity and rest, of doing and being, of loud seasons and quiet ones. Look at natura. Look at how trees don't apologize for losing their leaves in winter. They don't feel guilty about the months when they appear dormant, when nothing visible is happening. They don't compare themselves to the evergreens and wonder what's wrong with them. They simply trust the season. They trust that the falling away is necessary, that the dormancy is productive, that what looks like death from the outside is actually preparation for new life. You are not separate from nature. You are not exempt from its rhythms. You are part of the same cycles, the same seasons, the same intelligence that knows when to grow and when to rest. And right now, you're in a winter season. Not because you failed, not because you're broken, but because this is the season your soul needs. This is the season that will prepare you for whatever comes next. But the world doesn't honor winter seasons. The world wants you to be in perpetual spring and summer. Always blooming, always producing, always bright and energetic and available. The world needs you to be loud because your loudness confirms its belief that constant activity equals value. Your productivity makes others feel justified in their own exhaustion. Your performance gives them permission to keep pushing themselves beyond their limits. But what if you stopped? What if you refused to participate in the collective delusion that louder is better, busier is more valuable, constant forward motion is the only acceptable way to live? What if you honored your winter season? What if you let yourself be dormant, quiet, still? What if you trusted that this season of apparent inactivity is actually the most productive thing you could be doing right now? Because here's what happens in the quiet seasons. Here's what happens when you stop performing and start being. You remember who you are beneath all the roles you've been playing. You reconnect with desires that got buried under obligations. You hear the quiet voice of your intuition that has been drowned out by the noise of everyone else's expectations. You discover what actually matters to you as opposed to what you thought should matter. You heal from wounds you didn't have time to feel. You process losses you were too busy to mourn. You integrate experiences you rushed past without fully living. None of this can happen in the loud seasons. None of this can happen when you're racing forward, checking boxes, meeting deadlines, proving your worth. This kind of work requires stillness. It requires quiet. It requires the willingness to not be impressive for a while, to not have exciting updates to share, to not be the person everyone looks to as an example of what's possible. And I know that's hard. I know you're afraid of what people will think. I know you're worried they'll judge you for slowing down, for stepping back, for choosing rest over hustle. And they probably will. Because your quiet challenges their noise. Your rest exposes their exhaustion. Your willingness to honor your season makes them uncomfortable with how they're violating theirs. But that's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to be honest about where you are. To honor the season you actually in instead of pretending to be in the season you think you should be in. To trust that not every season is meant to be loud. And the quiet ones are just as valuable, just as necessary, just as holy as the ones that get celebrated. If you're in a quiet season right now, if you're feeling the pressure to be louder than you have energy for, leave one word in the comments, just one. Let this space hold your season with you. Let me tell you what the loud seasons are for. They're for expansion, for building, for putting yourself out there, for taking what you've learned in the quiet and expressing it in the world. The loud seasons are important. They're when you plant seeds, when you take action, when you create momentum, when you let yourself be seen. But here's what no one tells you. The loud seasons are not sustainable. You cannot expand forever. You cannot build without eventually needing to pause and assess what you've built. You cannot keep putting yourself out there without occasionally pulling yourself back in to remember who you are when no one is watching. The loud seasons deplete you. Not in a bad way, but in the way that summer depletes the soil, in the way that constant giving depletes your reserves, in the way that continuous outward focus depletes your inner resources. And if you never stop, if you never rest, if you never allow yourself a quiet season, you will eventually burn out. Not might. Will. Because burnout is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign that you've been violating your natural rhythms for too long. It's your body, your mind, your soul saying, we need a winter. We need to go dormant. We need to stop producing and start restoring. And if you don't listen, if you keep pushing through, eventually you won't have a choice. The quiet season will come whether you're ready for it or not. So here's what I'm offering you. Permission to choose the quiet season before it chooses you. Permission to honor the first whispers of winter instead of waiting for the blizzard. Permission to slow down when you feel the pull instead of waiting until you collapse. Not every season is meant to be loud, and the sooner you accept that, the sooner you can stop resisting the season you're in and start receiving what it has to offer, because the quiet seasons have gifts. Profound gifts. Gifts you cannot receive when you're busy being loud. The quiet seasons give you perspective. When you're in the middle of the loud season, when you're building and creating and pushing forward, you lose sight of the bigger picture. You get tunnel vision. You focus on the next step, the next goal, the next achievement. And that focus is necessary in those moments. But it's not sustainable. Eventually, you need to zoom out to see the whole landscape, to assess whether the direction you've been racing toward is actually where you want to go. The quiet seasons give you that vantage point. They pull you back. They slow you down enough that you can actually see what you've been running toward. And sometimes what you see is beautiful. Sometimes you look at the path you've been on and feel a deep sense of rightness, of alignment, of yes. And that confirmation is invaluable. It gives you the energy to enter the next loud season with clarity and purpose. But sometimes, when you finally stop and look, you realize you've been running in the wrong direction. You realize the goals you've been chasing aren't actually yours. They're what you thought you should want, what others wanted for you, what made sense at some point, but doesn't anymore. And that realization, as uncomfortable as it is a gift, because it allows you to course correct. It allows you to stop wasting energy on a destination that was never meant for you. But you can only receive that gift in the quiet seasons. You can only see clearly when you stop moving long enough to look. The quiet seasons also give you integration. Think about everything you experienced in your last loud season. All the lessons, all the challenges, all the growth. You moved through it. You survived it. You maybe even thrived in it. But did you integrate it? Did you take time to process what happened? To understand what you learned? To let the experiences settle into your bones and become wisdom rather than just memories? Probably not. Because in the loud seasons, There's no time for that. You're already on to the next thing. Already facing the next challenge. Already pushing toward the next goal. And so the experiences pile up. Unprocessed. Unintegrated. Taking up space in your psyche without ever being fully metabolized. The quiet seasons give you time to digest, to sit with what happened, to feel the feelings you didn't have time to feel, to ask the questions you were too busy to ask, to let the lessons land, to transform experience into wisdom. This is not wasted time. This is essential time, because unintegrated experience doesn't serve you. It just weighs you down. It becomes baggage you carry into the next season without realizing it. But when you take time in the quiet to integrate, to process, to understand, those experiences become resources. They become strength. They become the foundation on which you build your next loud season. Subscribe to this channel if you need reminders that your quiet season matters, that your rest is productive, that your stillness is valuable. This space honors all seasons. This space remembers what the world forgets. The quiet seasons also give you reconnection. Reconnection to yourself, to what you actually want, to what actually brings you joy, to what actually matters when you strip away all the external expectations and obligations and shoulds. In the loud seasons, you lose yourself a little. Not completely, not dramatically, but gradually. You make compromises. You bend to meet others' needs. You adjust your course to accommodate circumstances. And each adjustment, each compromise, each bending is small, barely noticeable. But they add up, and eventually you wake up and realize you don't quite recognize yourself anymore. You're really not sure what you want, because you've spent so long focusing on what everyone else wants. You're not sure what brings you joy because you've been too busy doing what brings success. The quiet seasons give you space to come back to yourself, to remember what lights you up, to rediscover what matters, to reconnect with the part of you that knows, that has always known, what you're here to do and be and experience. This reconnection is sacred. It's the return to your own center, the remembering of your own truth, the reclamation of your own authority. And it cannot happen in the noise. It can only happen in the quiet. In the stillness, in the season when you're not performing for anyone, and you can finally hear your own voice again. Not every season is meant to be loud. Some seasons are meant for this. For reconnection, for remembering, for coming home to yourself. Here is what I need you to understand. The quiet seasons are not less valuable than the loud ones. They're not the seasons you have to get through to get back to the real work. They are the real work. There where the deepest transformation happens, where the most important growth occurs, where you become the person who can handle the next loud season with grace instead of just grit. The world won't tell you this. The world will make you feel guilty for resting, ashamed for slowing down, anxious about falling behind. But the world is wrong. The world is operating from a broken paradigm that measures worth by productivity and value by visibility. But you are not a machine. You are not meant to produce constantly. You are a living being. And living beings need seasons, need cycles, need the rhythm of expansion and contraction, output and integration, loud and quiet. So if you're in a quiet season, stop apologizing for it. Stop feeling guilty about it. Stop wishing you were somewhere else. You're exactly where you need to be. This season has something to teach you, something to give you, something to prepare in you. And if you spend the whole season resisting it, wishing it was over, trying to force yourself back into loudness, you'll miss it. You'll miss the gifts, the perspective, the integration, the reconnection. You'll miss the deep rest that your soul is begging for. You'll miss the opportunity to become someone new. And then when the next loud season comes, and it will come, you'll enter it depleted instead of restored. You'll bring all your unprocessed baggage with you. You'll have lost yourself a little more instead of found yourself a little more. Don't miss your winter. Don't waste your quiet season wishing it was spring. Trust that the dormancy is productive. Trust that the invisible work happening beneath the surface is valuable. Trust that you're not falling behind. You're falling inward. And that inward fall is exactly what you need. Not every season is meant to be loud, and the ones that are meant to be quiet are often the ones that change you the most. Because transformation doesn't happen in the noise. Transformation happens in the silence, in the space between what was and what will be, in the sacred pause where the old you dies and the new you is conceived. You're in that space right now, in that pause, in that liminal place where nothing seems to be happening, but everything is happening. Your old patterns are dissolving. Your old beliefs are being questioned. Your old identity is loosening its grip, and yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's disorienting. Yes, it feels like you're losing yourself, but you're not losing yourself. You're losing who you thought you had to be, and that loss is necessary, because who you thought you had to be was never who you actually are. The quiet seasons strip away the false, the performed, the adapted. They strip away every version of yourself you created to survive, to succeed, to be accepted, and what's left, after all that stripping away, is the truth. The essential you, the you that exists beneath all the roles and masks and protective layers, and meeting that essential self requires silence. It requires stillness. It requires a season when you're not distracted by goals and achievements and the constant demand to be productive. It requires space, time, permission to simply be without having to become anything. This is what the quiet seasons offer. This is why they're sacred. Not because they're comfortable, not because they're easy, but because they're honest. Because they force you to confront who you are when you're not performing. Because they reveal what matters when you strip away everything that doesn't. And what you discover in that stripping away might surprise you. You might discover that the things you thought mattered don't. That the goals you were chasing don't actually excite you. That the life you were building doesn't actually fit. And that discovery, as destabilizing as it is a gift, because it means you get to choose. Again, you get to build something new, something true, something aligned with who you actually are, instead of who you thought you should be. But you can only receive that gift if you honor the season, if you let yourself be quiet, if you resist the pressure to be loud before you're ready. Because if you rush back into noise before you've done the work of the quiet season, you'll just rebuild the same life you had before. You'll chase the same goals, play the same roles, perform the same version of yourself. And nothing will have changed except that you'll be more exhausted. The quiet seasons are invitations to change, to evolve, to become. But they require your participation. They require you to be present instead of numbing out, to be honest instead of pretending, to be willing to let go instead of clinging to what's familiar. So let me ask you, what are you clinging to? What are you refusing to let go of because releasing it would mean admitting that a whole chapter of your life is over? What version of yourself are you still performing, even though it doesn't fit anymore? What goals are you still chasing, even though you've lost interest in reaching them? The quiet season is asking you to release all of that. Not violently, not with judgment, but with gentleness, with compassion, with the understanding that everything that got you here was necessary, but not everything that got you here needs to come with you into what's next. This is hard work. This letting go, this sitting with what is, instead of rushing toward what's next. This trusting that the quiet is productive even when you have nothing to show for it. But it's the most important work you'll ever do, because it's the work that allows you to live authentically instead of just successfully. The work that allows you to be yourself instead of just being impressive. Not every season is meant to be loud, and the quiet seasons, the winter seasons, the seasons when nothing visible is happening, these are often the seasons when everything essential is happening. When roots are deepening, when strength is building, when the next version of you is being formed in the invisible places where all real transformation occurs. Before we close, I want you to take a breath. A deep one, and I want you to give yourself permission. Permission to be in the season you're actually in. Permission to be quiet when you need to be quiet. Permission to rest without guilt. Permission to slow down without shame. Permission to trust that not every season is meant to be loud, and the quiet one you're in right now is exactly where you need to be. Leave one word below, one word that represents what you're letting go of in this quiet season. One word that honors the release. The surrender, the trust that what's falling away is making space for what wants to emerge. We've reached the end of our time together, but your season continues. Your quiet continues. Your rest continues. And all of it matters. All of it is valuable. All of it is preparing you for what comes next. You don't need to rush. You don't need to force spring before winter is finished. You don't need to be loud before you're ready. You just need to trust the season. Trust the rhythm. Trust that your soul knows what it's doing, even when your mind is confused. The loud seasons will come again. They always do. Spring always follows winter. But you can't skip winter. You can't bypass the quiet season and go straight to the loud one. Well, you can try. But you'll pay for it. You'll enter the next loud season depleted instead of restored, fragmented instead of integrated, lost instead of found. So, stay in your winter. Honor your quiet. Trust your season. Let the dormancy do its work. Let the silence speak. Let the stillness reveal what the noise was covering. Because when spring comes, when the next loud season arrives, you'll be ready. Not just capable. Ready, rooted, clear, aligned, whole. And you'll enter that season not from exhaustion but from rest. Not from depletion but from fullness. Not from fragmentation but from integration. And the work you do in that season will be different. Better. More authentic. More aligned. More true. Because you honored the quiet season. Because you trusted that not every season is meant to be loud. Because you had the courage to be still when the world demanded motion. To be silent when the world demanded noise. To be yourself when the world demanded performance. This room remains open. This space remains available. Whenever you need to remember that your quiet season matters, you can return here. Whenever you need permission to rest, to slow down, to honor the rhythm of your own soul, this space will remind you. Not every season is meant to be loud, and the quiet ones are just as sacred. Just as necessary. Just as holy. You are exactly where you need to be. In the season you need to be in, doing the work that needs to be done. Trust that. Honor that. Rest in that. Not every season is meant to be loud, and yours isn't. And that's perfect. This room doesn't close. The quiet doesn't end. And neither does the truth that your rest is valuable, your stillness is productive, and your winter season is sacred. Be still. Be quiet. Be here. The spring will come when it's time. But right now, it's winter, and winter is exactly what you need.